do really want to change people's perceptions about disfigurement and disability. That is an ambition that I have. That is a lifelong ambition. I want to attempt to achieve it by provoking contemplation. I don't want to do that by telling people what to think. I hope that it leads to some contemplation that will lead to some sort of deeper understanding of these questions.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Walsh. I'm a film critic here in LA, and I am so pleased to be moderating the conversation for Film Independent with Aaron Schimberg, Adam Pearson, and Sebastian Stan. So thank you all for being here tonight to talk about A Different Man. I love this film so much. It's unlike anything I've ever seen, but it also has such an incredible universal human quality to it. Aaron, I wanted to ask, because this is the second collaboration you've done with Adam. I really loved your film Chained for Life. But how did you two connect, and what was sort of the spark of inspiration for writing this script?
It's a big question.
It's a two-parter, I know. It's
I
a lot.
I was writing Chains for Life, and I've told the story before, but the character of Rosenthal was described as having neurofibromatosis and having a British accent. That was how he was described. I was not aware of Adam, but halfway into the script, Under the Skin came out, and I saw that Adam had neurofibromatosis and had a British accent. So usually I try not to write with people in mind, people that I don't know. I had written for my film before then, I'd written the role for Mike Tyson, and that didn't work out for me. So, I said never again. I'll never write for I know, but Adam was certainly in my thoughts as I was writing the role. I really didn't know if he would want to act. I mean, I knew he'd done this part in Under the Skin. I didn't frankly know if he could act, at least not in the, he's great in Under the Skin, but I believe it was improvised. It's one scene. And this was a leading part. I have very long shots that go on for minutes on end sometimes. There's a lot of dialogue. I didn't know if he was sort of unknown quantity in that sense. And what I quickly found, I talked to him. He was in. He wanted to do it, but until we got on set, I really was, I was just hoping that things would go well. And what I really discovered, to my surprise, was that this was a natural actor, a real talent, and that I almost felt like the role was underutilizing him in a sense, because he was playing a sort of shy person, and Adam has such a extroverted personality. So it was a performance, but I felt that he didn't necessarily get the respect he deserved for that performance. I think everyone knows he's good in the film, but there was some idea that he was playing a version of himself, and he's not. I knew he wasn't. I knew that this was a very nuanced performance. So I was sort of inspired after that to write something that would show another side of Adam and show something that I think we've never really seen in film before. A character like Oswald, and I certainly knew Adam could do it, although I think he's capable of, everything in between and all sorts of things. So, but so those were some of the inspirations behind different.
Adam, can you talk a little bit about what it's been like working with Aaron in these two films, which are basically, you did Under the Skin, but these are sort of your two only roles, or that you've done so far that are leading roles. Like, I just want to know about your creative partnership with Aaron.
Totally. I think any good collaboration, be it artistic or otherwise, needs to start from a place of understanding and, more importantly, trust. And after Underskin, I got a lot of other offers, and a lot of them were like just really badly worded and fell into tropes and stereotypes that I have no interest in playing to or reinforcing. And I hopped on a Zoom with Aaron. I did a bit of Googling beforehand. I think you turn up to those kind of meetings having done your due diligence. That way you're not getting caught out by anything or anyone. And I just really liked his approach. I liked the way he was talking in our first meeting. He made a lot of references that I greatly appreciated. Aaron's like old school when it comes to film, both as a fan and as a director. And so that's why I decided to kind of get on board and pull the trigger, and the scripts I really liked as well. And having worked with him before, when I got sent the script for A Different Man, I had like one pass and we're just like, oh, okay, yeah, we're doing Kaufman. Fair enough. Let's rock and roll with this one.
Sebastian, how did you join this troupe? Had you seen Aaron's work before? What was your draw to this script?
No, I hadn't. I was just my agent, and I had a very specific conversation, I think, about being more specific in the type of work and the type of filmmaker that I was hoping to work with and to work on. And so she sent me the script, and uh, I read it, and I was really I was really kind of refreshed and re-energized in a way because it was so unique and so incredibly complex and smart and witty and funny, and I had to go back and reread it honestly because it was so layered, and I really kind of immediately knew that this is something very specific, important, special, and then I had a meeting, and then I saw Aaron's film Chain for Life, which I thought was incredible. And then we finally connected and had a meeting, and kind of made sure we were sort of seeing, or that I was really understanding what he was after, and kind of feeling each other out, and then we joined forces.
Sebastian and Adam, what was your, like, I wonder, did you do a lot of preparation before the shoot together? You're playing these foil characters, but also very similar people. But um, what was your working relationship like as actors in this film?
Well, we
So
had a Zoom, right? I mean,
yeah,
yeah, because I asked Aaron, if it's okay to connect with Adam, and I was sort of seeking some guidance from Adam in terms of just Edward and his past, and sort of the some of the choices and decisions I was trying to make at the time about the character, and he was willing to sit with me, and then we kind of hit it off, right? I mean, sort of
yeah,
talked about all
no,
kinds of things.
yeah. I think it comes back to what I said earlier about due diligence, and disability and disfigurement are subject matters where you don't get it till you get it. You can do all the sort of desk research you want, but there comes a point when you need to go out and do field research and kind of have really deep, honest conversations about things. So we sat down and he asked really good questions and really kind of brave, important questions. And so I gave very equally honest answers. I think that's how this was going to work, and I wanted to kind of honor his integrity and his intentions by being as open and as transparent as I could be. And I rarely talk about my past in any great detail. not because it's hard or I've got baggage or issues or anything, just because it's the past, right? And it makes you who you are. But by the same token, you don't dwell on it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I don't think that's a healthy way for any human to process their previous.
Hmm.
And so we did that, and then we got to New York, and yeah, we got on. I think you come to any film set, whether no matter who you're working with or what you're working on, with like a clear head and a sore heart. And I say this to young actors all the time: people need to like you and want to work with you. And so you come, you be salt and light wherever you go, and you do the job. And it sounds really rudimentary, but yeah, you crack on, you do your best, and don't don't mess around.
I think that's very good advice for anyone in any field. um, Sebastian, you have to give such a layered performance in this film, not only as Edward before the procedure, then, you know, his new experience in life, and then also acting as the character of Edward and using the mask. And I'm curious kind of what your approach was to this performance, which has so many different sort of phases.
Well, I think there's always with anything, there's always a research part, and but very well stated as Adam just did. That only goes so far. And again, I was very lucky, and I was very grateful to him for being so honest and sharing with me a little bit of his experience, because there was just no way of me really understanding that. And I think having had him and Aaron as guides, it just was extremely crucial to this approach. On top of all the other kind of research I was doing by talking to this doctor at NYU, who's the head of the neurofibromatosis program there, asking him, would this ever be possible? And kind of questions around, just patients he's worked with, anything he could advise me on, anything he could look at the script and say, this is works, this not. And scouring the internet for people who've gone through all kinds of experiences and whatever they've shared. And fortunately, there's a lot there that I was able to find. And honestly, the other big piece was the prosthetics piece, obviously, which was really important. And Aaron was very clear, and rightfully so, in the sense that it was important that we got to do some of the beginning Edward early on, because it would inform the rest of the second half. And I was really very worried about the second half, quite frankly, because it's the same person throughout, and it doesn't matter what the outlook is. It's unfortunately in his case the inside that has not been really dealt with. And but the prosthetics and sort of figuring out what would inform the physicality would inform a lot of things. And fortunately, we were able to start. My day one was as Edward, full Edward, and then I had time also to test out the prosthetics and go around New York City and spend time with people in the world and see and feel them and feel myself reacting to them. So all of that was really crucial in me building confidence and courage to make certain choices that later on I could still go back to and draw, even though things were different.
One thing I really like about your performance is that your body language stays the same in a way, like the way you walk and hold yourself, and so it maintains that like consistency of this person throughout.
Yeah, I think this movie is it's just so smart on so many levels. But one of the things that I personally love about it is that it really plays into audiences' perspectives and projections.
Yeah.
And I think if you're an audience member, if you're watching the movie, depending on how self-aware you are of your own kind of sort of go-to habits or instincts, you may catch yourself kind of projecting certain things onto him and other characters, but I knew that there needs to be a certain kind of familiarity there that sort of gets tracked, and if the job is done well, the audience will continue to have the same projections towards Edward despite him actually looking different.
Yeah. Aaron, I enjoy that your films have this meta quality to them, that you are making films about storytelling, about these issues and how we reckon with these things, that our own projections, our own assumptions. But so I wanted to ask about what your writing process is like when you're writing these stories that are about storytelling. And I think there's almost even like a fable-like quality to them, like almost like an O. Henry story in this. So can you just talk about your writing process a little bit, and dealing with these layers of storytelling that are going on?
My process is a mystery to me. I agonize before I'm writing. I spend so much time not writing and agonizing over what something is going to look like and how it's going to turn out and what the tone of it is going to be. And every time, and I should really learn my lesson at a certain point. It's almost, I start writing and it's beyond my control. It comes out the way that it does. And I think that, I don't have any particular interest in this sort of meta quality per se, but I think that when you're dealing with the subject of disfigurement, you also have to go through the idea of films about disfigurement, because there's also sort of preconceived notions about portrayals. If you hear there's going to be a film and it's about somebody with a disfigurement, you know what it's going to be, you know what it's going to give you. And you have to sort of circumvent these layers of prejudice. You have to find new ways to talk about it. And one way, I guess, that I can do that is by sort of referencing you're likely to assume about what the movie is going to be, just based on the fact that these movies all have shared qualities. So I think that it has to be self-reflexive in that way. And in terms of I've heard the film described as fable-like, and I don't know the exact definition of fable. I think it's maybe a moral, sort of a moral tale in some sense. And I don't know that I think about it in these terms. I really think that I don't know that I think in terms of morality at all, in the sense, since this procedure that he has, it's made very clear off the bat by the doctor who proposes it, that that there's medical reasons that he has to do this, that this condition is threatening his health. So it's not necessarily a question of vanity or something like that. It's really a question of, it's probably a good idea to do this in this case for this character, because there may be health problems that that are threatening in the future. So, and I did that in order to sort of take out this moral.
Right.
And to me, it's like, it's really not, I don't think about it in terms of a metaphorical story, in terms of one man's story, Edward's story, and what happens to him in this situation, based on his psychology and the things that have happened to him. And, I don't know that it would apply to another character, even with the same condition. I think that Edward has his baggage and his traumas and the way that he's treated and the way that he thinks about himself and the way that he assumes or presumes other people think about him. And which is certainly partly probably based on some reality, and the implications of the transformation, it changes him in positive ways and in negative ways and in neutral ways. So I'm really just thinking about it in terms of this character and
Mhm.
what is happening to him. I'm not thinking about it in a broader sense. This is what would happen to everybody. But nevertheless, I hear what you're saying in terms of this fable-like quality, but I don't know that it's intentional, on my part. I feel this way in terms of anything I write, that it's coming from some place that I don't understand, and it's really comes from a place of asking questions about myself and asking questions about things that I don't know that there are easy answers to, and it's just an exploration of these questions. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does, and it's an interesting sort of quandary because I kept thinking, oh, this feels like a fable, but then I'm like, what is a fable? Is it a morality tale? And there doesn't seem to be questions of morality in this screenplay. It's more just about humanity, and you sort of answer that by saying that it is about following this character through this journey and sort of imagining what would happen or what could happen. So I appreciate you teasing that out because I think it is an important part of talking about this story. For Adam, if Aaron wanted to write a screenplay where you could kind of show more of your personality, I'm wondering if there was a favorite part of playing Oswald that you really enjoyed.
Karaoke, right?
Yeah, that karaoke scene, that song haunts my dreams. It's because I listen to it so much to get the words down and to know the tune, and because it's really it's a great song, but it doesn't follow sort of like I'm like a classic rock pop punk guy, so I'm used to sort of like my 4/4 arrangements where I know what's coming. And Rose Royce's "I Want to Get Next to You" has none of that, and it sort of like fell into my most played 2022 on Spotify. So I'll be like walking down the road with that playlist on, and then out of nowhere, that piano will come in, and I'll be like, "God damn it, Aaron!"
It tortures you now.
But that scene in and of itself is just soul crushing to like watch, because I think that's just the beginning of the descent into madness for Sebastian's character at that time. That's the sort of like breaking point, um, if you will. So I really like that scene. The fight scene in the theater is one of the most nervous days of my life because frankly Sebastian Stan is the Winter Soldier, and I'm 5'6", made of junk food and broken dreams. So
But we're in a different world. And
we are in a different
in this world,
world.
in this world, you're a double black belt.
Oh, there is no world, I assure you, sir, in which I'm a double black belt.
You
And
must have thought, what have I gotten myself into on this day?
but no, I think this is going to sound utterly off piste. My favorite part about Oswald is the wardrobe.
Yes, I
Like
was going to say the wardrobe is incredible.
the day we went in and I did wardrobe, it was the greatest and craziest day of the whole thing. Because like the wardrobe goes, oh, try this on, and comes out with like a tiger kimono, and I'm like, this is amazing.
Was that in
Uh,
the script, Aaron?
Shout out to Stacy Berman who did costumes. Yeah, certainly. He's supposed to be this flamboyant, wonderfully dressed person, and I, I, Adam and I are about the same height, and I, I would look at his clothes and I think, can I steal these clothes? But what But I have the confidence to, because I would never dress this way because, I'm too self-conscious, but I thought, maybe, it would change me if I could just steal Oswald's clothes and I could become more like Oswald. But I think they're gone now, the clothes.
A tiger kimono can
Very
do
nice.
wonders for the soul, apparently. Um, I guess just to, wrap up, I'm curious for all three of you, what you hope people take away from this film. Kind of an open-ended question, I know, pretty
Yeah.
challenging.
Wow. I mean, I I'm really proud of this film and proud of everyone who worked on it, right through from like Aaron, myself, Sebastian, Renata, who's also like bloody great in this film, and I hope she gets her flowers for it. Through to whether it's like the AD Greer who picked me up from my apartment 6:30 every morning, like Wesley and the guys on sound, everyone did a stellar job, and a movie is only as good as the sum of its parts. I want this film to sort of challenge people, as Aaron said earlier, very very well. Whenever you see movies about disfigurement, you instantly go to what you think was going to happen, whether it's sort of like the victim, the villain, or the false hero. And I wanted to work on something that didn't talk down to its audience, didn't hold their hand. Those movies can be ten a penny. Like a good movie will change what you think for the rest of the evening, whereas a great movie will change how you think for the rest of your life. And I wanted to be part of something that would a just stand on its own as like a movie, but would also change how people think. Where an audience would catch itself thinking one thing, and then in the next scene they'd be like, "Oh, wait, that's not what I thought would happen," and would sort of challenge their preconceptions and their preconditioning a little bit more than maybe had been before in cinema.
I think this film definitely does that. Any additional thoughts, Sebastian?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think for me it's two things. One, I definitely want to reiterate what Adam has said. I think we have to try and question a little bit more our own response system to disfigurement and disability, and be aware of where that's really come from. I think I really believe we learn a lot of things when we are children, and I think we do all come into this world sort of with a clean canvas of kind of without any sort of projections and stuff. And I think we pick these things up along as we grow up. And so I don't quite know where it needs to start, but um I think yeah, I think we have to look at sort of some of the narratives that we've grown up with around the subject matter, and how we yeah, how that sort of our instinct, whether it's to be super kind and super kind of just this sort of super kind, kind of super aware sort of reaction, or rather this extreme of totally I'm ignorant, like I'm going to pretend I'm not here sort of type of reaction, which also seems to happen a lot, are not helpful, and they don't really uh, move the needle in any way, shape, or form. And I think the movie does a great job at sort of um, opening the door towards that awareness, if people can come away from the film with that and not hang on to certain preconceived stereotypes, which are also in the film expertly on purpose by Aaron, as he's described, because those are the very things we need to kind of become aware of. So, and then, you know, at the risk of maybe being a little preachy or something, I think our own individual authenticity is at stake as we speak, no matter what you look like. You know, I think we're in a world currently that is where I see people losing who they are, quite uh, rapidly in all kinds of scenarios, whether it's online, whether it's face to face, on camera, whatever. I think we need to ask ourselves like how worth our own authenticity is, because without it, you know, we're not, we are only robbing ourselves. We're the ones suffering for that, you know. We're very, like, there are young people are growing up in a world right now where they're just consistently afraid of embracing themselves. There's a social media and an internet world that's dead set on castrating people for just having a different opinion, or thinking differently, or trying something else. And I worry that, um you know, those that generation is just going to be robbed of their own, you know, what makes them different, what makes them unique. And a lot of times that's their own pains and their own flaws and their own whatever situation that they've come from. So I think we need to kind of, um not just maybe walk away from the movie like, oh wow, that was different, that was unique, like maybe like actually sit there and go like, well, when do I have I today, or in the past month or the past year, was there a moment where I made a choice by either saying something, doing something, where I've abandoned myself and who I truly am and what I
Hmm.
really want, you know, and what I say I stand for. And if you can ask yourself that question honestly, maybe perhaps after this film, then I think, at least from my end, I feel something was done right, you know? So sorry for a long answer. I feel kind of, I get kind of caught in it a little bit, you know, because I feel strongly about it. But
Aaron, anything you want folks to take away from this film
Well, it's
specifically?
hard to follow up these answers, but you know, my ambition is you know, strangely almost arrogant in a sense. You know, I'm not. I do really want to change people's perceptions about disfigurement and disability. That is an ambition that I have. That is a lifelong ambition, and whether I can achieve that, I have no idea. But I want to attempt to achieve it by provoking contemplation. You know, I don't want to do that by telling people what to think. I have no control over what people think,
Hmm.
but I hope that it leads to some contemplation that will lead to some sort of deeper understanding of these questions. And I do hope to change these perceptions about disability and disfigurement. I may be setting myself up for failure in that sense. I mean, it's a grand ambition, but that is, you know, deep down, I do have that hope. You know, whether I'm successful at it or not.
Well, thank you all so much for being here for this really thoughtful conversation. And thank you for making such a thought-provoking film that is also just a joy to watch. So thank you so much. And thank you to Film Independent for having us. And everyone go see A Different Man in theaters.
Thank you.
thank you.